Well, good afternoon as you're sitting here at LTV on this beautiful, beautiful afternoon of August 13th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and of course the likes of you out there that make it your business to enhance and fortify this concept called public access, and rightfully so. And my next guest, as I keep with the tradition of interviewing people that I don't know, never discussed or chatted. I mean, we did some to a certain minimum degree, um, but still have a feeling that I can say so much about this person. So this person is definitely second to none when it comes to energy. Prolific,
Yes.
I dare say, balanced, devoted, dedicated, yeah, all about texture, all about going all out, yet a level of disciplines that cannot be ignored. And I speak of their art, of her art, and of course that's the portrayal of. I assume that it's the portrayal of her personality. Zoe Pennebaker Breen is here with us, so thank you so much for showing up.
Thank you
We
so much
hardly
for that.
spoke,
Thank you so much for that intro.
and that was the short version.
I need you by my side at all times. Like that made me feel so. I could just weep. I think there was a tear. I need to write that down. Thank you.
It's amazing
Thank
how
you.
when we share, it's almost like we share the same kind of destiny.
Yeah.
If you think about it, and that destiny spells this kind of devotion that when it comes to art and studio, like you say, your post on Facebook that said that you're fearless when you're in the studio, and I replied that I'm fearless where I'm not feared,
Yeah.
and that is actually also in the studio.
Yeah.
But there's so much that we can understand about each other
It's
as
true.
we belong to this unique group because it's a given for us.
It's so true.
It's a no-brainer. So I want you to talk to us about that, the aspect of that which is no-brainer in the process of being so creative and artistic.
Well, I think just to go back to what you say is that, I think of art about as a conversation, and I also think of it as in nonlinear form. So you can have a conversation with Picasso when you're staring at one of his paintings. And that's the beauty of art. It's nonlinear. He doesn't have to be here. So you and I can have a conversation through our art anytime. And I think that that's what kind of allows us to have that understanding about each other, that we know what goes into it, and you're speaking a language, because it is a language, right? It's a language that doesn't have words, but it's definitely a language you're speaking. And so I love that aspect of art, is that nonlinear aspect, that you could have a conversation going to the museums. I feel like I'm having a conversation,
Yes. And
with,
it's almost like driving.
yeah.
Even when you drive in a familiar environment,
Hmm.
still you take that turn and suddenly you realize it was longer, it was
Yeah.
sharper,
Yeah.
and when you anticipate to get somewhere at a certain time, suddenly you realize that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And this is the journey
Oh,
in the
yeah.
studio. So what is it that
So
allows
much
you
of
to go
that.
so? What is it that allows you to go so deep and to build up that sense of confidence
Hmm.
and to say it's worth it? So what is it that's in place that's actually allowing you to feel that liberty
I think
to go about it
I
this
think
way?
I have to go back to the beginning. So I was very into photography, and I wanted to be a photographer. And I was making a birthday present for my husband, and I took a photograph, and I was going to put paint on it. And the minute I touched paint to a canvas, it was love. It was an absolute love affair. And the thing, as we know about relationships, is they need to change. You can't meet them on the same terms every time. You need to grow and change. And that's, a wonderful love. And I feel like I have such a love affair with art, and it's just been growing. And ever since, and I have to say, I had my mother's a photographer. She's an artist. My father's a filmmaker. My stepmother's a filmmaker. I feel like she's a teacher, but she was a photographer. My brother's a filmmaker. So I feel like, and my husband is an artist. He's not an artist, but he has an artist heart. So I feel like there's so much support. And if I didn't have that much, that's the beginning, is people really supporting you and believing in you. Because when you're finding your way and you're working, you have to, you're questioning yourself all the time, and you're measuring yourself, right, against other artists, and are people going to like this? And then you quiet that down once you get going. But I think in the beginning it was really helpful to have so much support and you can do this. And so I actually had my second child. And so I had two children, 21 months apart, a newborn. And we were living in my mom's house in East Hampton, right near De Kooning and Jackson Pollock, which I like to say is how I got, like, there's the art vibes, right? And my mom said, you paint on my dining, because it was, fall, getting to fall. She said, you paint in my dining room table. It'll be better for it. And so every night I'd put the babies to sleep and I would just paint until I couldn't paint anymore. And it's still that way. I can't wait to paint. It's never changed ever. And I think it grows because I don't keep it the same. Like for me, I don't have any techniques. I don't have anything, because I used to kind of have techniques and ways to get places, but I always felt like that was just an easier way to get to one destination. Whereas I want to go somewhere I never have been before. And that's interesting to me.
Yes, and
That's exciting.
It's interesting that you're actually describing me right now.
Oh, really? This is so.
listening to
See,
it.
we do.
And I said,
Yes, you did
when I
understand.
started, it was like so scary that I
Yeah.
really felt like it's fire. Like, okay, I'm gonna still nevertheless touch it
Oh, but it's just
take
yes.
stepping back and all this. The level of my anxiety was justified
Mhm.
because we live in a community that everyone is, and his uncle is a great artist.
It's really hard.
I was always a poet and a musician, but it never accumulated
Mhm.
to have any aspiration that I would ever become an
Mhm.
artist. When that happened, I had to reinvent myself, not vis-a-vis creating an ability to paint and becoming better as a painter,
Mhm.
and therefore being more compatible and therefore feeling good about myself. It
Mhm.
was more like I'm going to introduce that which I know that I express through strength. Just like, let's say I
Yeah.
have a house painting company. If you were to call me to give you an estimate, it doesn't matter
Oh.
how big your house is.
Yeah.
Nothing will be able to intimidate me. It doesn't matter how tall it is.
I know. Isn't that the best? I love it. The
The
bigger the better, I say.
and then I will
The
and I
bigger
will
the
do the job. So now,
bigger the canvas, the better.
exactly. So when I looked at the canvases, it was like, are you joking me?
Mhm.
This is nothing.
I know.
What is it?
I feel the same
So
way.
the voices that I was supposed to hear, the
Mhm.
images that you used to kind of flash between
I get
my
them other
eyes.
places. I get
Yes.
them everywhere else, but not not when I'm painting.
Yes.
I'm scared of everything, but not painting.
And so all
It's
of
weird.
that was within that part of the equation.
Mhm.
It comes along with that kind of journey that
Yeah.
just begun. So I said, let me puzzle people with my strength that has nothing to do with painting. Has nothing to do. It has everything
Right.
to do with
Yeah,
work
absolutely.
ethics.
Absolutely.
Let me create so people will be so busy trying to figure out how I did it that they won't have time to
I
relate to the
love
art
that.
of it.
I
Like,
love that.
and I
That's so
succeeded. And when people
very
came,
cool.
I tricked them to be busy to try and figure out what the hell is going on here.
Very cool.
So I spared myself from the pain, from
Dazzle
the
them.
punishment, from the criticism.
Confuse them, dazzle them.
For a while at least. Afterwards it was like.
Was it hard in the beginning for you with the critics, or even now, does it still hard to hear people? Because people who don't, I just want to say, like, as an artist, we know how sensitive we are.
Oh, yeah.
And that sensitivity really works for some reason in paint for us with painting and making art. But how do you quiet the noise if somebody says something? Because people come look at your art and they don't realize they're saying something, but they'll say something. You'll think, oh God, how do you let that go? What other people say?
Yeah, well, I mean, you introduce always introduce a full body of work. I don't do group shows. I don't walk around with the
Right.
paintings.
I agree.
Not that I belittle these occasions, but for me, emotionally, it takes just as much
I totally agree.
toll on my psyche to deliver 2 paintings than to have a 50 painting solo exhibition. The same kind of investment of time and energy. Introduce a full body of work. Make people aware,
and then you get the full story,
where you're at now, and a hint of where you're going to.
Yeah.
And make it unmistakably clear of what it's all about.
Interesting.
And also try to create something that people, for the most part, won't be able to contemplate that they can do it themselves.
Right. Exactly. How did she do it? How did they do it? I hang upside down. I'm blindfolded. It's amazing. It's amazing.
But going back to again, it's just the little bit of encounters with your pages, the Instagram and I think it was Facebook, that I um, I was amazed that you managed to bring me so close to you
Wow.
by observing, just touch and go. Really, it's not like I dwelled into
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing because I didn't have to. It's
Mm-hmm.
like strong enough to give me an indication already just upon impact.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me how coherent you are in the process of creating it.
Well, it's so, like I said, I think in the beginning, I sort of had a process. I sort of did it. I knew I wanted, it's funny because I started, like I said, in Springs. I lived in Springs, right near de Kooning's house, and Jackson Pollock and Krasner, who I love. Krasner's work is such a huge influence on me. I love her work, as are so many artists. But I used to drive. You could choose if you live in Springs. You drive 3 Mile Harbor Road, or if you're in a hurry, you drive down Springs Fireplace. So I always made a point of driving down 3 Mile Harbor Road, and there was something about those boats. So in the beginning, when I was painting, I always got this sort of harbor, and there were a lot of boats in my paintings, and I sort of knew I wanted to go to that destination each time. So then I sort of had a practice of how I would start on the canvas. But, now very soon after that, I just really wanted, just like I said, I didn't want to know where I was going, and I wanted to find my way. And I also really like part of it to be serendipitous. So I want there to be this moment where it works. And it's like, oh my God, like it worked. So I want to be surprised. I want the journey to be a journey where I'm really on this journey. I don't know where it's going to end up. I might be like in the middle of it going, this is never going to go anywhere. And then it happens. That to me is what keeps me painting in a lot of ways, is having that aspect that is the unknown. So like I used to go and buy these things called mist tints at the painting stores, and they were paints that people didn't want. And they used to give me a discount. Now they don't, but I'm like, you should give me a discount. What are you going to do with those paints?
I have plenty of paint for you if you want.
I really might. I'm going to take you up on that. I need paint. I'm going to take, but these mist tints, you don't understand how excited I am. But these mist tints were colors I didn't choose, and I didn't even look, and I just would grab them. So there's that element of luck and surprise that I really love. So I always allow that to come in when I'm painting. And I'm always sort of like, well, how can I create myself out of this one? Or how can I make this? So, it's finding my way. And it's the only place where I feel like I said, fearless, that I can get there. Or if I don't get there, who cares? I love it,
I see it more as if you're coming to terms with these realizations and discoveries,
Yeah.
I learned also that when I create a good painting, more often than not, I cannot recapture
I know.
process.
I know.
So I said, this is not going to happen to me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I take, I either utilize my photographic memory, or I take notes.
You do. See, I was thinking I should do that. I was thinking I should start.
It's almost like allowing it to go to waste.
I know. And
I need to be able to, this is my painting. Why wouldn't I be able
and the
to
colors, sometimes you want that color again.
What was so
I know.
crucial? At what moment did
I leave it all to chance. It's
and how did I think of covering this? It was all, even though
it's
it was
the dance.
completely experimental and alternative, it had a train of thought that was viable.
Yeah.
And I lost it.
Yeah.
I lost it in the midst of, which is a good thing. But I want to be able, so now I have
little, like you just say,
number 2, number 3.
Interesting. What are your notes like? Do you write like the color of the paint, the style? How would you, I don't know how I would even I wouldn't know how I would even write down what I was doing.
The nature of the background.
Okay, that's interesting.
How much drip and splatter is involved within the composition
of
the background.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to introduce a structure, is proximity. So I do work with groups of color, even though I can change my mind and introduce something else. But for the most part, I'm consistent with my the choices that I kind of put in place ahead of time. And there's always what is the timing that I introduce the breakage, I call it, when I divide it in half, so to speak. But it's not a division, it's just a remark, a mark, a dent, but it doesn't go away. And this is something that I need to remind, which stage did I introduce that?
Is that like, I would think of like sometimes I think of that as a beauty mark on mine. Like it's that one thing that makes, you can't lose that. That is that
more meaningful than that.
Okay.
It's a little more noticeable than that.
Okay.
But it's not something that will disturb make you uneasy.
Mhm.
Not as the one who creates it, and not as the observer.
It's something that you know.
Yes.
And you only
But
need
it's
to know it.
powerful
Yeah.
when you own it, and you
Hmm.
know that you can repeat it. So
That's
what it
that's
is,
good.
you discover, and then
I like
if you have
that.
that at your disposal, then you need to only do recovery.
Why throw away the map to the
Recover.
journey, right? Why throw away if you go on this great journey, keep the map. I love that. You
So
may not get exactly to that place, but you can get close. I like that.
think about recovering.
I like that. I might
That
start
which you
doing
already
that.
discovered, and it's only covered with some dust.
Hmm.
So you only need to do, and
Yeah.
then you say, okay, well, wait a second, that's mine. That's mine. So it's almost like you can start the process in with the fourth stage
Yeah.
already.
And you learn
Yeah,
something.
it's
I like
almost
that.
like playfully cheating.
Hmm.
Like you're cheating, but you're not cheating. When I say cheating, is for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
It's more like allowing yourself to venture without being too critical with yourself.
Yeah. No, I love this. I think I might actually start doing a little bit of that. A little. But I want to ask you, do you ever share that with the person buying the painting? Will you share the story?
As little as possible.
Little as possible, because you want them to come with their own interest.
Yeah, also I'm not a storyteller.
Sometimes people want to know the story, and I'm always like, what do they want to know? It's all right there. It's all right there.
Thank you. And when people ask me how long it took me to do this, that annoys me.
Yeah, I know, me too. And I feel like there should be, instead of art classes, how to make art, because I really don't believe art can be taught in like what's out from inside coming out. And I'm careful. I don't mean like there shouldn't be art, but taught. I think there shouldn't be so much structure. I think structure should come at how you look at art, because I think that people disregard art a little too quickly. Sometimes, like, I mean, I know that my art can, be a little bit away from the norm, and I get that. But I think that it takes a little time sometimes to really understand a piece. Like when you're reading, if you only read, when you're reading Shakespeare, or when, if you're reading Great Gatsby, you have to read it a couple times and you have to talk about it and analyze it. Art should be the same, but I feel like sometimes it's like, no, I don't like that one, and I feel like art deserves more standing, waiting, looking, pondering, thinking about, and so I wish that instead of having a class where I kind of always felt like I can't do that kind of art, in art class. I always felt like, oh, I couldn't be an artist because I can't make art like that, the way everyone else was making it. And I then had to find my own path to art. But I wish there was more of a how to really feel art and understand that language. And I think that would run deep, and just people would feel art in themselves more, I think.
Yeah, and remember what was the thing that Jackson Pollock hated most of
What was
all was to describe what it is that he's doing.
Yeah.
Even in the movie that he made, he was like
Yeah.
fed up and all this. I think he felt ashamed
Hmm.
that almost like he needs to justify what he's doing, and he had a hard time explaining because it was new to him also.
Yeah.
And but now when he was talking about I mean the painting, I create for me the painting, that's like a, I hate to use the word pathetic, but it was pathetic in my eyes. It was like, give me a break. You can do better than that. And better than that, that's being quiet.
I
But he
totally agree.
couldn't. He didn't have the luxury
Yeah,
to
you're
be
right.
quiet because everybody's
But he
eyes,
probably was asked that
attention.
so many times
Yes.
too, and he was
Yes.
moving. We want to move,
Yes.
And I think that that's the beauty of his art, is it's transcends time. It's nonlinear.
In 1998, I remember I did a show here. It was called Two Worlds on Studio 3.
What was it called?
Two Worlds.
Oh, okay.
And it was when the balcony,
Was
when
I here doing a show then? No, it's a little
Studio 3, when the balcony was still open,
Okay.
there was an opening and it's
Yes.
not closed with the walls and all this. So I dropped all these 4x12s and all this. It was a feast of drips and splatter. I knew so little about Jackson Pollock. I knew that someone is there splattering paint and dripping, and it's very famous and powerful. Didn't know why, how come, never really examined his paintings. So I started with this releasing. I don't want to fail by trying to explain to you now and do the thing that I tell you that when others do is pathetic. I don't want to find myself doing the same thing. I realized quickly enough there is a good drip and there is a bad drip. Not anyone can just pick up a stick. Well, anyone can do it,
Right.
but it won't amount to be meaningful.
Well, what's so amazing is you've made it your own. I mean, you've really quiet. I mean, if anybody said anything like about, oh, you're doing drip painting or whatever, I feel like you've really established your art, made it your own, so that you don't think about Jackson Pollock, you don't think about other artists,
But
which
it's
is
but there's nothing
incredible.
wrong thinking about him. That's not
No,
that.
I don't either, but
But
I
this.
think it's an
But what
incredible
governs that
ability.
logic? We need to ask ourselves what governs that logic. That means what makes it that it will be a good drip as opposed to not.
Yeah.
So me, because I operate on three mediums, which is music, poetry, and painting. Now painting, but before it wasn't. It's cross implementation. So that means if I introduce rhythm counting into a splatter,
Oh,
in
cool.
itself a discovery. But the
Right.
question is just like anything else. When you pick up
Wow.
a commitment, you have to be consistent. That means even if you fail, if you need to count to 110
So
and
cool.
you miss one number and you say, it doesn't matter, I'm going to continue to 110 and not going back to the beginning and starting all over again, you fail.
I guess I never thought about that.
So,
You have like speed and
and so
tempo.
I'll
That's
reveal to
so
you,
cool. I didn't think
because
of it that
because
way.
I'm a drummer. The basics is
Yes,
single stroke roll, double stroke roll, triola, paradiddle.
absolutely.
So I pick
Oh
up.
my
Let's
gosh,
say
you
I
blew
will
my
do
mind.
triola. Let's say here's the stick, here's the
Mhm.
canvas, here's the
Mhm.
paint,
Mhm.
and I'm going to count. What am I going to count? Three. Dip. Go to 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
Dip.
Wow.
Then 1, 2, 3. Ta ta ta. Pa 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 pa. But
Wow.
I'm
So
not
it's
going to
a
do pa 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 pa. I do pa 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 pa. I
That's really
don't
cool.
stop
Very
holding that
cool.
three. If I go sing it, if I go paradiddle, pa ta 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 pa ta 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 pa ta ta
Mhm.
ta pa ta ta
Mhm.
ta dip. The thing is, it's so easy to fail
Yeah.
because you're doing it and you feel like, what am I doing? It's so ridiculous. You hear these voices that are attacking you and say, stop
I
this
know,
nonsense
right?
right
It's
away.
hard. Those
And,
voices.
and you don't know that you can say, leave me alone. You don't
Yeah.
know that. You know that you can say, but you don't know that it's going to work. So
Mhm.
you choose not to say anything and you choose to accept that failure.
Mhm.
I realize when I keep a straight face through the process,
Mhm.
that's it.
Oh, interesting. So it's your face, even like how you're, so even the energy you're putting with your face affects the spot. It's incredible.
Yeah,
I
yeah, you
never
don't.
thought about rhythm too and tempo. And that's so interesting to me.
We
Just thinking
so
about,
many times in your life you manage to hide your feelings by showing a.
absolutely.
So just the same way. If you will remember that and introduce it into that equation, into that
I love
moment,
that.
I need to pretend. Can how well can I pretend?
I love that.
The better I can pretend, the more I will prevail in that journey of breaking through and revelation and
Right.
and new things to the surface. And then of course that you know already about yourself that once you see an opportunity, once something new opens, you jump in it with vengeance.
Yeah.
You don't
It's
let
the
it
only
go.
place I really can do that too. I don't feel like I can. It's the only place where I can take things as far as and that's what I love about it. I can take things as far. It's like a journey, and there's no consequence. I mean, there's consequences, but when you're in it, you don't think about consequences. You're just in this wonderful journey, and anything can happen. And sometimes it's hard for me to stop painting. I sometimes paint sort of very late into the night because the journey, I don't want the journey to end. I don't want that to stop being in that place, or with these, you kind of, I think of sometimes when I'm painting it very late, they're almost like friends in there, this energy that's with you when you're painting. And I don't want it to stop. And then I overpaint.
So what spells progress to you in that, you know, the immediacy of the moment where you find yourself creating for 10 minutes or for 10 hours, regardless.
Yep.
So, what is it that
Usually
you
10
say,
hours.
okay, you know what? This is what happened. This spells progress. So, how do you want to portray it so I can feel it
Interesting.
right now?
Interesting. So
And it doesn't
I
have to be anything grandiose, it can be something very
I
minute.
think, well, okay, so for me, abstract painting is a balance. It's a lot of balance. So I'm balancing energy, weight of the color, weight of the stroke, weight of the whatever medium I'm using. That weight that's in the canvas, is everything weighed out on the, am I using the whole canvas instead of cutting it in half? I want to make, work with the whole canvas, and you just, that wholeness makes people pull in. So I think if it all comes together like a beautiful, you don't know why a face is so beautiful to you, but there's something like, oh my God, look, or a piece is so beautiful. You're not sure. But when there's that moment where I'm like, oh, that is just so exciting when a painting comes through like that and it just shows me its face. I think that feels like progress. It's like, I'm doing a dance with somebody, and it's all coming together, and then there it is. I've created something out of nothing that wasn't there before. For me, that's progress, I would say.
And on the
Does
and
that answer your question?
yeah,
Sort
yeah,
of?
but now I'm going to follow up with this.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, how do you deal with that which slows you down, and that which kind of tells you that you're not going to be able to proceed as freely and as fluently as you would wish? So that means, in the same token that you will
Yeah.
capitalize on breakthroughs, what do you do with when the opposite presents itself?
I think the only person that really imprisons me is myself, my own brain, like the voices or whatever. I think it's really coming to the studio open and clear, and with nothing, like really letting go of everything, even though you're not, because you're bringing so much of yourself into the studio, but see what happens. So for me, it's, don't think about what you're going to do, just see what happens. So I'm in the process, and I think that is really that's huge, in the process of creating. So I don't have a process, I'm in it, seeing what happens. And that always, I say that every time I go in the studio, see what happens. And it just puts me in the driver's seat, I think, instead of, you know, that kind of conflict of nothing's going to happen. Is it going to happen? I've got to do this, and it didn't turn out the way I wanted it. I'm never stuck. I never feel stuck. Like, I never feel like I messed up, because I have no idea where this journey comes and also goes. And also, I found that when I think I've messed up, it actually takes me somewhere even more beautiful. So it's just, I have such a trust, and the more I do it, the more I trust it, and the more I love it. It's amazing. I can love it more and more. But I never get tired of getting in that studio. And I think it's interesting. I think it's because I found it later that was a huge part of it, that I don't know what it is. It just knocked me down.
So how conscious are you of, and that I noticed about you, that you don't have a hard time exposing yourself and showing and sharing, which is an incredible quality. There's something that to a certain degree, you don't hold back, and it's almost like, you know what? If I feel good about it, if I feel that happiness, I want others to feel it, or at least hoping that indeed others will feel it.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you conscious of that part of your behavior as an artist, so to speak, especially in the face of social media, because other people will shy away, other people will be completely all out, but you're showing solid, wonderful paintings to begin with. First of all,
you're making me so happy.
Very nice.
I'm glad I came out of my
really.
studio.
but no, seriously, seriously, I'm not just saying it for you to feel good, to feel good about yourself, which you should. But there is something, sometimes when I see people show their work and and all this, it's fine, all this, but it's like I say, why don't they wait until something good comes, and show us wait, take a deep breath, hold your breath. But with you, it's the opposite. It's like you want more. It's beautiful. It's like, wait a second, it's just you wonder about the source of it.
So hungry.
Are you conscious? Tell me about being conscious enough in order to be able to do what you're doing in terms of sharing.
Yeah, conscious enough. I think something that's really important to me in raising my kids was being authentic in a day-to-day. And I think that, and my kids being, having being authentic school, and, authenticity to me is very important. And it also makes me very vulnerable, because I'm very sensitive. I'm so sensitive. So I don't get to be as fearless in everyday life as I am. And when I go in that studio, I think that authenticity really is like, it's like I'm shining through. It's everything. It's really the truth. I'm not pretending. I'm not hiding behind a technique. I'm not hiding behind a process. I'm in it, and I love it. And I think that authenticity that shows through is that love and passion. I mean, I'm so passionate about making art. I could just do it every day for 10 hours. That's all I really, actually, my boys are now grown up, so I'll feed them because they do need to eat because they're teenagers. But all I want to do is make art. I don't want to go to the bank. I don't want to even go to the grocery store. I just want to make art. And I don't know why it bit me like it did, but that's really, I wish I could just make art all the time. I would never get tired. So I don't think I answered your question.
No, it's like we have we have another half hour to explore to get to the bottom of it. But let me just mention we're sitting here on Tuesday afternoon, August 13th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. Zoe Pennebaker Breen is here with us, and that's a joy to have you here. And I'm just trying to be as um, as as intentionally as I can, constructively elusive.
I love that. I mean, that's like
to in order to reach your heart and your mind and to say, okay, so what is it really all about?
But
at
I
the
like
end of
that because you ask questions and anything I could answer it with so many possibilities.
Yes,
and it could work.
Yes,
I don't know. I don't know if I'm like, did I answer?
And even not answering is an option.
But it was great. You got that out of me.
It's a viable option.
It's all about the conversation and getting things out.
As you have kids, I have kids. I have 5 of them. So and
I know your kids went to Hayground,
and they're all young, and they're all, and so I know about the existence of the genius behind the brushstroke of a 5-year-old.
Yes.
I know the level of unlimited innocence of a 9-year-old. That it's just exquisite.
Beautiful.
That which is exquisite is such a given, and I know about the level of my quiet envy. That I want to continue to feel envious because it just keeps me on the alert, keeps me on the edge, and also to promote and to encourage me to be appreciative and open in the way I place my opinion with the 9-year-old, whether she's my daughter or not. But it makes it easier because she's my daughter, so I can do it. I can come from all directions.
How old is your oldest now?
Well, Shanti is 26. She's my stepdaughter.
Oh my gosh! Because I remember
Leah is
I used
15.
to see your wife at Hayground with the kids. As she was pregnant when I was our last year. I believe it was they graduated. I don't know when we left, but I think
4 or 5 years ago, or something like that.
She might have just been pregnant.
But right? So but the thing is that we know so much about tracing the steps of the kids. Even Picasso said that the kids are really great painters.
He said,
the question is, can they remain great painters?
Right.
And he said it all, of course, because at some point, I can't even say we abandoned it. It dissipates into the thin air because this is Mother Nature taking that away from you, and you have to really be intentionally focused on making a point to help them keep it. And now, in my case, because I'm an artist, it's easier. But as easy as I think that it is, actually more difficult when I find myself in the truth of that moment, in the moment that is so truthful, I feel helpless. I feel like I really don't have much to tell them.
Oh yeah.
And but I want.
They're picking it up because they're with you. They're with you.
But I want to tell them so much, but I end up being quiet.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily that I have a way to channel that disappointment. Or I don't know I don't even know how to describe it.
They're going to pick it up just by being near you, because I grew up with my dad making films, and just being in the editing room or just being near him or just hearing the arguments at dinner, how to edit this film.
Yeah, but at some point, real things need to happen.
Yeah.
Like some point you have to be able to take a hammer and hit that stone and break it in half.
Yeah.
Because you can't just make it split just by looking at it or wishing for it to open. So you need to have that kind of proactive aspect to it all.
I agree.
But one thing I managed to teach them, and I was very proud of it, is to say, because they say, why is it that one day I love my painting and one day I hate my painting? This is what my 9-year-old asked me that. So I said, wonderful golden opportunity for me to explore it with her. So I said, okay, I won't answer you why. I will answer you why it's important that it should be this way. You paint, you start the painting, you love it. You do a second coat, you don't like it. You do a third coat, and you like it again. And you do a fourth coat, and you really can't stand it. You do a fifth coat, you love it. You do a sixth coat, it disgusts you. You do a seventh coat, you adore it. You do it.
I love this.
So you go, and you decide to stop when you like it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I love that she
Or
asked
love
you
it or
that.
adore it, whatever.
I love that
But
she
that's
asked
really,
you that. She does. Those are tough
yeah,
questions.
that's a tough question.
She
So
doesn't let you off easy.
and so I said, make sure, even though it's not a bad idea to stop anytime that you feel that you want to stop, but preferably stop when you like it.
Yes.
And then you won't have this issue wondering how come you don't like it or like it because you
Yeah.
made that decision.
That's a whole that I want to get to the stopping because I am working on that. But I think that going back to what you said, I think kids have an energy that they put into their art that's so beautiful. And I love large paintings because I love painting large paintings because there's a you have to put this energy into it. You can't be lazy. And it's really a place where I'm never lazy. I'm never lazy. I will go to the ends of art earth to get where I need to go. I will staple chicken wire to my paintings. And I actually sold a giant painting since hanging in New York City with chicken wire on it. But I will go. And that's kids will do that too. You're not going to stop. You will go where you need to go. And I always feel like there's more freedom in a child's brain, but I think I'm childlike in a way when I do art, whereas I need sand, I will find a sander. Oh my God, see, I'm so jealous. Oh my gosh. Now you have some that you turn the light off, right? It's so beautiful.
9 by 32, and I have exactly.
And I love the red. Is that really red behind it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And the and I did a 60 footer also, so it's
do you do them on the ground?
Anywhere possible. My studio cleared about 2/3 of it, so I had to do it in stages.
I love it.
So
recently,
no, I just you speak of large scale, so I wanted to show off.
So recently, I think like that's a huge part of it is kids aren't lazy in the way that they'll go where they need to go. And I feel like for some reason, you don't know what goes into you that makes you love something so much or be in that studio. But I think part of it is it's like, I will go anywhere I need to go for this piece of work. I'll staple. I love also tactile. I love getting in tactile, putting things on it. I love sanding them if I have to, but then I don't stick to that. The other thing I want to say is, speaking of large, is I was recently we moved to LA and I was putting together some dining room chairs because you have to build your own stuff most of the time to fit it in the car, right? So I'm building these dining room chairs for Thanksgiving, and I said, damn it, I'm just going to paint the goddamn wall. And I just started painting the wall. And at first, it was one of the most incredible things I've ever done. First of all, because I don't hang my paintings when I paint because I don't know, like I don't have a space to hang them. So I'm always leaning them, putting them on the floor, moving them around. This was already hung. It was so great to just already have it right there. I could just paint. The other thing was like right in my home, I could go there because I paint sometimes, 3 a.m, 2 a.m, 12 and into the night. And at first my kids were like, oh my God, what's dad gonna say? So I was like, Mom, you need to have boundaries. And then my husband was like, she was dropping hints. I knew she was going to do it. She was dropping hints and my kids loved it. And it just the way it was when they were little. I was always painting when they were little and, they would walk by and I would make them a part of it just because I wanted them to see it. And I was excited. They were always walking through the dining room and I'd say, oh my God, I messed it up last night. And my son would say, Mom, you're in the process. I'm like, I love it. I love it. Like they're my cheerleaders.
That's good. I love it.
They're the best. They're really good. And they understand that. Like I said, like I don't have to, just by having conversations and being near me, they're learning so much about art and how to appreciate art and the process of just being in the process, which I think is invaluable.
How much do you think we're aware of the level of seriousness involved in being engaged in the process to the degree that we are? Because I think that artists are, there's so many good artists that I know firsthand and intimately, and that I can feel free enough to say, hey, listen, what's up with that? When are you going to grow up? When are you going to stop making believe? When are you going to go for the real dip? And it's refreshing for me to be able to do it with people, so I don't have to approach them and say,
"Is that getting art out?" Would you say? Where's the real? Like, is because
I mean, it's
a
serious reality
in the art
business.
Within making the art or getting it out?
Just being one, creating, painting.
Yeah, it is
at the
serious.
End of the day, it's really serious. It's heavy duty.
But you can't bring that into the art, right? So
Well,
you have to
you
find
take
a
from art
way.
in order to give to art, so you don't go
Yeah.
out of the equation of the art or the jurisdiction of
Right.
art in order to add and contribute to art.
Right.
Just like when I do, uh, if I can define, well, I mean, and another thing, when people ask me, so what's your style? So I hate say
I know.
abstract expressionism. So
And
I
can you
always
imagine
say,
me?
I always
What
say,
style would
okay, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what. I'll describe yours
Really? Okay.
because I will
I
be
need to write this down.
because I will be describing mine by describing yours.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
It's abstract expressionism with a dash of surrealism,
Right.
vis-a-vis that aspect of modernism that takes you all the way to the free aspect of entering the abstract world without using abstraction.
My God, I'm gonna write. I need that. This
Well,
is gonna
yeah,
be. I have a tape of
yes,
this.
yes.
This is gonna be what I write
Yeah.
when I go to shows.
So what happens
I do a
is,
show
so what
on
happened,
my website.
because I'm a
that.
drummer and I play, and I grew up as a jazz drummer, so we decided at some point like 30 years ago to do some freestyle. So I remember that our motto was no rehearsals, only love and friendship.
I love that.
So what we used to sit, and
I
our
don't do
rehearsal was
rehearsals either.
sitting and chatting. So we toiled for years and said,
Yeah.
what is freestyle?
Yeah.
What does it represent? What does it really mean?
Badass.
Took us yes,
It's
well,
totally badass.
I wish I could have known that to answer years ago.
It is.
But it was extremely difficult to answer this
Yeah.
question. And then we realized it hit us one
That's
day.
what we should say. It's just
We
badass.
need to enter that freedom into that style to make freestyle in order to create a freestyle without mentioning or using free.
Yeah.
That freedom, that the freedom that's tinted with that particular style in order to be
Yep.
called freestyle. It's
Right.
complex, yet it's very simple. I mean, if you want abstract expressionism, you need only to be able to express, not to think about abstract. You introduce, for example, I'm a technique-oriented artist, not a subject matter-oriented artist. 99% of the painters will never be able to start a painting unless they knew what they're doing, what's the title, what's the direction.
That's so
With
funny.
me, I use technique. I
Interesting. So
hum
that gets
instead
you
of
into the-
singing. I hold my breath.
Oh, cool.
I hold my breath so much so that when I can't hold my breath anymore and I need to breathe, I'm starting to paint. So there's a lot of head games involved.
I find I don't eat before I'm about to go into a painting. Being hungry for me is better. If I eat, I sort of just want to take a nap.
Because
so being
then
hungry
you feel eager.
Yeah, and they say like, I just did that naturally, but I find like eating less before I'm about to go into the studio is always good for me, or not eating is great. I don't know what that is. It's just, I'm not in my stomach. I'm in my heart, maybe more so.
Yeah.
I guess.
Because you
I
want to
paint
shy
with my
away from
heart. I
emotions.
absolutely paint with
Stomach
my
is
heart.
emotions.
I'm so in love with art that I paint with my heart. There's
Yes.
no question. And
Yeah.
I think that if that comes through and people feel that, maybe that's what you said you feel is that the joy is because I love it so much and I feel so grateful.
Can you try and describe what you just described now through the opposite aspect of it? That means
backwards. Does that work?
No. I mean. No. I mean.
But I could paint it. I could paint it.
I mean, let's see if I can.
I'm gonna put my glasses on for this one.
Let's see. If you were to try and describe who you're not.
Okay. Yes.
And what you're not.
So I am not.
But don't say I'm not. Just
okay. So I think from the other side is having a technique that gets me to the same place. I could never be an artist that way. I want the journey to be. It doesn't have to be long. I don't mind if it's not long, but I want the journey to be a surprise when I get there. Like, oh, I'm there, and it always surprises me.
What is the opposite of I paint with my heart?
Oh my God, I don't know.
What is the opposite of art is my life?
So it's gonna kill me? I don't know. It might kill me. It might kill me. I mean, I do paint a lot. Like a lot. I guess I'm trying to be really. Let's see. I could paint what you're saying, but I just, I think
Do you feel when you're super
I'm going to come up with
saturated?
this in the middle of the night.
I
and
know,
I'll be
no.
like, "That's
Yeah, it's
really
okay. I
good."
should have. We need another interview. But do you feel that when you find yourself extremely saturated with
Oh,
all this goodness, that it's that it spells all the things that you cannot express, and it's just in abundance there. And for the most part, if you're not ready, then you cannot hold on to anything to show for later. Like I said,
yeah.
you need to be able to have a record of
You know,
that
I don't,
in your photographic memory or in your psyche,
yeah.
in order to introduce it into the equation when you find yourself again in the studio.
I don't know if this, but this might touch upon it. Is I don't think I speak very well. I think I speak passionately, but I think that I paint better than I speak. So sometimes, or I can, write it out. So sometimes I always look to people who can, eloquently say what they need to say, and they get it out and with just the right words. And I think, well, that's not what I'm to do. I'm supposed to paint it, and I'm painting it. And if people take the time to really feel what I'm doing and that conversation, and take the time to listen to because it's really, you're really listening to a painting, you're watching a painting, you're feeling a painting. There's so much happening when you're really getting into art. And you should leave it and walk back. But I feel like that's where I can get what I need to get across, or what I need to say. What I need to say on this, they say like the greatest day is when you find what you're here to do, And so I feel like I know I'm here to do this, because honestly, I don't know what else I would be good at. I'm not saying or that I would just have so much passion about.
So, what kind of a person are you observing other artists' work?
Oh, I love other artists' work. I love watching them. I'm careful though, because I really try to be so independent. And I mean, that's why I think abstract expressionism is so badass. It's so independent. And it's like, I don't know. I could never be any other kind of painter. And I'm so happy. I was like, this is the paint. I don't know how I found it or found me, but I'm so glad I'm here. That's the feeling. I don't know how I got here, but I'm so freaking glad I'm here.
And you think that being introduced to art enhanced that feeling? Or at least that you find yourself so hands-on and so involved, so that enhanced that feeling.
I think it would be. I think it's like a music. I think when you see other art, or you go to a museum, it just awakens. When I see really great movies or amazing art, it makes me want to be a better artist. In terms of, makes me want to just keep going. And
can you describe to me a disappointment when it comes to observing
my own art or observing art?
Just in general, when it comes to art,
do you ever
go to art shows, art exhibitions, and you're disappointed?
Tell
me, what does it spell?
If I don't think that if I think that they're doing too much, for me, it disappoints me if there's no fear, they took a chance. If I know that they knew it and they knew the steps and they got there, and I don't know how I would know it, but I feel like I kind of love it when I know an artist took a chance and went for it, and I think that in any art.
And failed, you mean, or did not prevail?
What do you mean?
No. That's interesting. It's interesting.
I just think,
honesty is a prerequisite to triumph.
If I see an artist and they're still doing the same thing and they're not trying new things, I'm never disappointed in someone else, because that's their journey. But I would want them to try. I'm always like, oh, what if you tried this and did that? So that's the only. But you can't be disappointed in someone else, because it's their life. It's like trying to make someone else happy. You can't make someone else happy. They have to be happy themselves. They have to find happiness. So I feel like they need to do what they're going to do and find their path. But it does disappoint me if somebody just kind of goes to the same place and it breaks past it, takes a chance. That's disappointing.
So, observing your art, I see that I have a feeling you know a lot about the art of hiding.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me a little bit about how aware are you when you paint your paintings, and obviously you have to go over certain things, layers, a color over a color, shape over a shape, and inevitably you're going to lose some of the things that you just now see, and in 2 seconds won't be there. Tell me about the process that materializes while you were. Do you have to be brave
I think like
does courage is
I
necessary in
think it's
that sense?
interesting. Like it's just where I am right now, really. Like I think I'm layering and then I take them off and then I put them back and I take them off. And it's kind of this really interesting dance. And then I'll cover it, but there'll be like a part of it that's showing from that craziness behind it. And I'll cover it with like a flat medium with a color on it, a light color. And so you'll just get a little idea, a little corner of something, and I love that. I love that right now. And that's where I am right now. And I think that whether it's because I'm self-confident, I mean, maybe not self-confident, maybe I'm covering and then showing it. And then maybe I do that in real life too. Like I'm really shy. I think I'm like, if I'm around a lot of people and
But how
stuff.
much of it are you aware of while it's taking place, or before when you
No, I'm
do
not
you
aware
need
of
to pause
anything.
and make a decision,
I'm
or is
never,
it
I never,
okay,
I go. I
okay,
just go. I never
okay,
stop.
okay,
And I dance. I
yeah,
dance a lot while I'm
okay,
painting.
good, good,
My sister
good,
took a film of me. I
makes
was like,
sense.
oh my God, was that me? I mean, there's like moves, like dance, but it's expression, right? It's
Yes, of
expression.
course.
And so sometimes I have to like, I don't know, I'm just clearing, or like I'll take a lap, I'll run around, but I'm very energetic and I'm very into it. And I can paint for hours and hours and hours and hours. I never get tired of it.
Yes, I remember that once there was a person that every art show of mine used to come to me and say, "How long did it take you to to make
Yeah,
this
no, I
painting?"
know.
So I used to say, I used to try and answer, longer than you think.
Oh, good. I
And
like that.
then
I'm gonna use that.
he would come and ask
I'm
me
gonna
again
use
and all
that.
this. So at some point I said,
What does that
"Please tell
matter?
me, why is it so important for you to know how
Why
many?"
does it matter?
Well, why? What's the difference if I say 20 hours or
I
100
think
hours?
they're curious about
But
how you
look
do
what
it.
happened. Look what happened. I'm telling you a
Yeah.
story that's
Okay.
actually amazing. And he says, "Because I have a feeling you don't paint the paintings," he tells me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I look at him and I said, "Troublemaker you are, huh?" I love that. Troublemaker.
Does he think you have a gnome that comes out and paints them for you?
No. It was like I I I wanted to know what to answer. I wanted to know what to answer to a degree where he would know that my answer not was right or wrong, good or bad. It was immediate.
And you got him puzzling
Yes.
him.
So I said.
I'm gonna guess you puzzled him.
I said, "Troublemaker you are, huh? I've seen the likes of you more than once, But I cannot say that I cannot appreciate that.
Yeah.
What you just, but he made me think.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how he contributed to my. So guess what I did? I went home and I decided to think about a solo exhibition that I'm going to work on.
Oh, interesting.
To try and interpret the feelings that I'm not aware of why I should feel the way I felt when someone asks me a question that the answer to it is, give me a break and get lost. Something like that. But of course, I didn't want to say that because that's not how I felt to communicate with the person. But on the other hand, I would never ask him, what do you mean? Because I don't want to have a discussion with someone who is a troublemaker.
It was a catalyst.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and he wanted to find a weak spot, and he was hoping to find a weak spot, and then he would kind of write all over me, whatever it is. I mean, but it's funny to how much it contributed to my creative process, beautiful. The evolutionary process of self-regard and self-worth, and how you feel about yourself, and what is the reason that you need to maintain that strength in order to, again, show a straight face through the process.
I like that because you can't control what people are going to say to you or how they're going to feel, but you can control how you react and then what you do with that. Because I think that like on this journey, like I think that like we have to be more open and have less conflict. But I like how you like thought about it and you allowed it in, and it actually was a catalyst to like how you affected
it was.
And I think that that's really the interesting thing about art too, is that you know there's so many ways to feel about it, and there's so like, especially I think people are very curious who don't make art too, like how did they make this? How did they have no idea what goes into making a painting. And it'd be great. I mean, it'd be great. And I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, who do I think I am coming up with a giant canvas and thinking that I'm going to make a painting. Like, really, if you think about it, if you go back to the beginning and think like, I never thought about it, but if I had, like, that probably would be really scary for some people. Like, how do I make a painting?
Yeah.
And I just never thought about it. I just did it. But I had just stepped out of it for a second to be like, wow, that's really cool that I never was scared. And I'm really grateful for that.
But believe it or not, we devoured 55
and
minutes.
And I answered none of your questions. I think I love it, though.
I would like to
love that you.
I would like to conclude by wondering, by having you, take about 2 minutes to wonder out loud. So what is it that spells next to you, other than all the obvious things? We want to be better. We want to be, find ourselves toiling less and creating more and achieving more and being, and achieving sophistication by introducing simplicity and all of that, all of the obviousness of all this goodness. So what is it that's going to make good better?
I think a couple things. I think getting my work out, being stronger about that, not just making art, getting it out there. I think being a part, I really want more of a community, artist community. I think it's really beautiful to have somebody you can talk art to. You had Mariah is a good friend of mine who you had on the show.
Yes.
And we can talk art. And it's so beautiful to have somebody to talk art. My mother, we go to the museums. And, just having somebody to talk, and she talks the way she always knows my painting. She's like, oh, I see this and I see that. And then I'll look at her photographs and I'll be like, oh my God, that reminds me of something. And it's really interesting. I see, when I look at my parents' art, it's like I was there when they were doing it. It's like in my DNA. And so sometimes I can be like, whoa, I knew that before I knew that, And so I really see that when I look at my mom's photographs. She's got this abstract thing in it. And I just love that. So I think having more community is great. I think for me, getting my art out and stepping out of the studio and having self-confidence outside the studio with my art, and being like, this is my art.
Yeah, so there would be like
there's no excuse, this is it.
Becomes a reflection of who you are as a person, not necessarily as an artist.
Outside my studio. Badass! That's my word, badass. I feel like we are badass. We should walk around with badass t-shirts and badass hats.
I think so
because
too.
To take a painting and freaking take it from whatever we do, it's freaking amazing.
Yeah, the back door is always to surrealism. Yeah. And then if you go from the back door into the revolving door, it's modernism. And from the revolving door, you go back to abstract expressionism.
That's just a night in my studio.
And then you end up realizing you hate abstract expressionism with passion. You hate it.
And then I'm like, wait, I gotta get out. That's my studio. Yeah, like, where did I come from? Yeah, everything's flying around.
And also, I always thought that those who invented and formed that group of abstract expressionists.
Categories.
What did they invent?
Categories.
They brought two words together. Abstract. That means you express yourself in an abstractive fashion.
You know what upsets me is
where is the revelation?
And it's a way of it's a way of it's like a technique to understand art better because people want to understand it quick. But I think if they took more time feeling the art, fuck the what you're gonna category you're gonna put it in. Feel my art. Really look at it, walk away, come back, feel it more. Think about it at night.
But also the word,
the
word.
Sorry, I cursed.
No, it's okay. The word expressionism is so meaningless.
Right.
If you think about it, what are you talking? Expression? I mean, what are you trying to tell me? You're trying to tell me that I need to learn about expression and what is the nature of expression? I express myself. So what is it that you reveal to the world by saying, oh, expressionism, abstract freedom, abstract expressionism, oh, here's this. Here's the package. Here's the magic. But there's no magic in that box that is presented to you vis-a-vis abstract expressionism. There's only puzzles that shouldn't have been there to begin with. Right. But anyway, in that
it's also our language. I think there's not enough words to express what I'm feeling in my art. There's not enough words in the English language for me.
Yes.
Because it's not a language. I mean, it is a language, but it's not a.
So you can use all the words in the world and keep silent. It would be one and the same. Yeah. We're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday and as much as we're here this afternoon. Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon. August 13th, 2024, here with the Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi. Thank you so much to my guest, Zoe Pennebaker Breen. And you must come
and
again.
Come see my art.
And show up. Yeah,
yes,
please.
Come see my art.
And next time we're gonna we can connect to the show, the
anytime.
work, and all this.
I will come
and I
anytime.
thought that by not showing the work, keep the mystery, and now they get to know the people,
Love
they get to know so much about you without even seeing your paintings. So that's a plus.
I think we
that's
should
an
get
advantage.
a couple more artists in here too.
Yes.
I think we need a couple more.
God bless, and thank you so much for showing up, and don't be a stranger. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Haim, so much for having me. It's just been such a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Likewise,
thank you.
Thank you.